Hello, I'm Sam Paris, dialing in from West Virginia. And I just want to share a little bit today about how our church at First United Presbyterian Church of Dale City shares the light of Christ through its ministries. And it is certainly Christ's light that we shine, not our own. Three ministries that stand out to me are Kairos Prison Ministry, our Spread the Bread Ministry, and More Light Presbyterians. The Spread the Bread Ministry is just a very impactful ministry for the unhoused, in which we feed a meal a week. And to be the hands and feet of Christ, to be part of that ministry, not only shares Christ's love, but it also certainly transforms our hearts as well. The Kairos Prison Ministry is a ministry in which we go into a very dark place. We serve at Sussex Prison in Virginia. It's a maximum security prison in which we spend 4 days with the men a couple times a year, and we bring in home-baked cookies, and we surround the weekend with prayers around the clock. And it is bringing light into a very dark place. And these men are overwhelmed by the love and the joy that is shared through the prayers and the cookies and God's word. And to see the transformation in their hearts transforms our hearts as well. And the final ministry I mentioned is First More Light Presbyterians, in which we are a welcoming all church. And that includes everyone in God's kingdom. And we want to support the LGBTQI in all ways, and not just welcoming, but affirming to be part of this church for its leadership, for its ministries. Wherever there is a call, wherever there is a need, for all are welcome in God's kingdom. Thank you and God bless. Have a great day.
Good morning. My name is Amanda Peck, and I am a member of First United Presbyterian Church of Dale City. And I was asked to talk about how I have seen Christ and God through our church and our congregation. Our church is embracing from all cultures and ways of lifestyles, and that means a lot, as you know, the Lord has taught us to love all people. The way I also see us spreading light is ministering to those that are different than us, and those and teaching us to love those that are different.
Hello, my name is Arthur.
Where have you seen the light of Christ shine through our church ministries?
Because everybody is welcome, and no matter which language they are, no matter which color they are, we love them.
Is there any way else that we also shine Christ's love and light?
Now we talk about God and Jesus.
Hello, my name is Kurt Hoagland. At FUPCDC, we spread the light of Christ through some of our many missions that we do. A few of these missions are the Guatemalan missionaries. We take trips to Guatemala to help build smokeless stoves for the villagers in the mountains of Guatemala. Some of the other ways we spread the light of Christ are by helping the unhoused in our neighborhood by providing food and warm coats and hats in the winter months. We also assist the Dale City Elementary School with book supplies and notebooks throughout the school year. As a More Light Presbyterian Church and Matthew 25 Church, we show that stewardship for our earth by conserving energy and resources. And as a More Light Presbyterian Church, we show Christ's love through the community, that all are welcome and loved at our church. These are just some of the many ways that this church is a beacon of light to the community and shining the light of Christ to let everyone know that all are loved. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Debbie Rulier. I'm a member of First United Presbyterian Church in Dale City. The question was posed to me, where have you seen Christ's love and Christ's light throughout your church and your community? And my answer would be when I participated in the Spread the Bread ministry in September. I was able to participate with my husband and my son, and it was an hour of joyful determination. There were about 25, maybe 30 people, and we were putting together meal kits for our homeless friends in eastern Prince William County. And we were having a great time, and we were determined to make this work. And in about an hour's time, we came up with over 700 kits. And when somebody told me that it was over 700, all I can say was mind blown. That's a lot of stuff, y'all. It was a joy, it was an honor, and it was a privilege to be a part of that. And if you're considering a church home, I hope you will consider First United Presbyterian of Dale City.
Hello, my name is Chris Calavis, and when asked where I've witnessed the light of Christ shine through the ministries of FUPCDC, I think of the Share the Bread campaign and the sheer amount of volunteerism that goes into that. On one particular occasion, the task of the volunteers was to build over 750 lunches for those in need. Now, with the sheer effort of volunteerism to do that, as well as the donations of bread and sandwich meat and water and chips and other things that went into those lunches, we were able to create over 1,300 lunches that day. The volunteerism is incredibly strong and the light shines incredibly bright at FUPCDC.
Hi, this is Edna and Regina. So our church can show the light of Christ in today's world in the following ways: by being compassionate, helping others, visiting the lonely, and I believe the church already does all of these. Praying for others, treating others with respect.
I agree with my mom, and what I'm going to say also, I think the church already does, but I think that the way that the light of Christ can be seen through the church is by them having open arms, them not judging others, them being willing to pray for anyone and everyone who walks through the building no matter the circumstance, and them just being able to listen to people.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The question, what can FUPCDC do to continue to spread the word of Jesus Christ? The answer is just keep doing what you're doing. The church is incredibly good at reaching out to people who feel victimized or the most marginalized people. People such as myself who started to fall out of faith when I started realizing what we were doing to non-human animals, and how it was just so clear to me that they are just as much of a creation of God as we are, and that they deserve our respect and love. And I feel that that viewpoint is very much accepted at our church.
Hi, I'm Liz Glyer. My husband Peter and I joined FUPCDC 36 years ago when we came from California in 1989, along with our 3 children. What drew us to the church was the fantastic youth program, as all our children at that time were in school. Over these many years, we have witnessed so many areas where the church has reached out to folks through Spread the Bread, through Spread the Warmth, Super Bowl of Caring, and many more things. Also, we personally experienced it, and we've experienced joys and sorrows in our life because of the love of so many church members. One of the things dear to my heart is music. And I remember clearly during the pandemic when Pastor Adam and the music and IT teams would come into church to create a service for us who were all sitting at home in those dark days. And the music through our choir directors was a little hard to record over Zoom, but it was done nonetheless. Also, another thing dear to my heart is caring for God's creation. I'm so proud of our church that we have led the way in trying to find ways to take care of our beautiful planet. One of those ways is that we will be getting solar panels fairly soon. I know that the list could be longer that I could tell you about, but I'll just end by saying I hope that each of you will continue to be a beacon of Christ's light in the coming years.
Hey there, my name is Shannon Williams, and I'm the youth director at First United Presbyterian Church of Dale City. You know, recently I was tasked with answering the question of how can we show Christ's love outside of these church walls? And truth be told, I had all of these answers and all of these ideas, and I could think of the things that we already do, like, you know, it varies between gathering on Saturdays and making sandwiches for the local unhoused folks and hopping on a plane and heading across the world with some of your church member friends and, you know, setting out to Guatemala to help them there. But it doesn't have to be all that. And I feel like that's something that we often miss out on as Christians. You know, it's like, I have to give, I have to do, I have to make everything with big intention and plan ahead and all the things. And you know, as I sat back and I thought about many of the ways that Christ's love is shown by the members in my church, it's not always about hopping on a plane, and it's not always about any big, huge production. Sometimes it's just to love.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and I believe that our church can help shine a light in a dark and broken world by continuing to be a bridge for people who have been hurt by the church in the past. From my personal experience, joining our church has been a huge blessing, and I've grown so much in a faith I never thought I would have again. So continue doing what we're doing. It's hard work. It's very important, though. We're saving lives. We're supporting people. Sorry, my dog is with me. We are already helping fix a dark and broken world. So, thanks everyone.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Trey, if you do not know. And I want to take the time to talk about how I found Christ through FUPCDC. It started about 2 years back because there was a week-long children's program at FUPCDC. I volunteered, and when I came in to help the children out, to learn about Christ, I was learning in the process as well. To be honest, 2 years ago, I couldn't even name 3 books out of the Bible, let alone maybe one. And while I still did pray before going to bed and before I ate, I didn't do it out of my love for Christ. I just did it because I felt like I'd be punished if I did not. However, that all changed when I started attending FUPCDC. I started attending for about 2 weeks, and then Chrysalis came along. And Chrysalis, I went on a 2-day retreat, and I was just immersed in learning about Christ, how he sacrificed for us, how he loves us, and that changed my whole perspective on life. I mean, I started praying out of love rather than out of fear, and I would never have been able to do that without FUPCDC. That's why I love FUPCDC. They're the ones that helped me to be reborn.
Hi, I'm Kathy Albrecht, and our theme for this season is Guided by Christ's Light. I love a poem by recent poet laureate Amanda Gorman, who said, "For there is always light if we are brave enough to see it, and if we are only brave enough to be it." Recently, I've had a lot of medical issues and gone to the umpteenth medical appointment. And as I was going into the building, I opened the double doors and I said a prayer, "Lord, please show me a sign. I am so discouraged." And so I go in, I sit down, talk with the nurse, and she's talking to me about the different things that we need to talk about. And she said, "I'm so sorry you're going through this." And I said, "You know, God will work it out. Either way, I'll be okay." And she took her mask and she went down like this, almost peeking above it. And she said, "That is my favorite song. I listen to it all the time." I said, "What song?" She said, "There's a song called God Will Work It Out." And I want to read to you the words of that song, if you don't mind. It goes, "Before I knew my name, before I drew a breath, he was making ways for me. And now, every day, in each and every step, he's making ways for me. God will work it out. God will work it out. One thing I know, one thing I found out, God will work it out. And it repeats itself like every contemporary song, you know. I love contemporary music. But it goes on to say that the refrain says, be encouraged, be encouraged, be encouraged. Be still, my soul, be still and know, lean in, take hold in God alone. And it goes on. God will work it out. And we were just sitting there in God's light. And I said, I can't tell you how much that means to me. I asked God for a sign. And she said, well, you were put here for me, and I was put here for you. And that's something that in this world today we need. We need to be there for each other. Open your hearts, open your minds, and know that we are guided by the light of Christ. I am guided by the light. You are guided by the light. We are guided by the light. Amen.